Okay, folks, welcome back to another game of Marty's Daily Sudoku. We have got a very hard puzzle here. Let me reset the timer here. There we go. Back to the beginning. All right. Let's give it a whirl, shall we? Let's see what we can do. And do, again, enjoy the symmetry of the puzzles. See this particular pattern here, and you flip it over, and there's that pattern there. These two reflective patterns all the way around the center. See, two here, two here. I kind of like that. It's I don't know why my brain enjoys that symmetry. We do have a 1 and a 1. Just leaves us a 1 here for this feller. We've got some symmetry here with this 8 that comes up. It just leaves one spot for the 8 here. And that symmetry is over here as well. This 3 comes down and just leaves one spot for a 3. Okay, alright. Let's see what else we have that just pops out in my noggin. Looking for some pairs here. So we've got 2 numbers missing and we got 2 numbers missing. So let's identify those. It looks like a 2 and a 3. 2 and a 3. And the 2 numbers we're missing here looks like a 7 and a 9. Right? 7 and a 9. 7 and a 9. Okay, that helps out a little bit. Okay. Alright. We do have a 7 and a 7 here. 7 across the top, 7 across the middle. Now we just have a 7 in the left. So we know this one has to be our 7. Okay, we have a 7 and we have a 7 and we have a 7, so we know that our 7 has to be here. We also have a 9 and a 9 and a 9, so we know a 9 has to be here. Okay, alright, so we're kind of filling this column up here. We've got a couple numbers that are missing. We need a 1. Well, it can't be here or here, so it could be here or one of these two. 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't really have a whole lot of help with our 5s. A 6. Okay, we need a 7. We got our 7 identified. We need an 8. Okay, right. Now we do have 2 8s here. 8 and an 8, which means one of these two is our 8. This spot's getting to be quite popular. A lot of folks hanging out there. I've got a pair of 1s. I like pairs here, so 1 across the bottom, 1 across the middle, and a 1 through the middle column. So I just have 2 spots for our 1. I saw some 6s here, 6 across the top, 6 across the bottom. Just 2 spots for that one. We have 2 7s here. We have a 7 down the right, 7 down the middle. Just leaves us 1 spot for our 7. That helps us to resolve this. So that has to be our 7. That has to be our 9. We've got 2 1s. 1 across the middle, 1 across the bottom, 1 down the middle row. So we just have 1 spot for our 1. Now we have a 1 in the right column, 1 in the center column, 1 in the center row. So we have 2 spots for our 1 here. Okay. Alright, alright. Got our 1. Looking for some more pairs here. I've got a pair of 8s. 8 down the left, 8 down the right. So we've got a set of 8s here. I also have an 8 here, and an 8 comes across, so I have a set of 8s here. Now I have an 8 in the middle, an 8 on the right. I have an 8 through the middle. So there we've got a couple pairs of 8s. 8 through the middle, 8 through the middle. We still have 3 spots we could have for our 8. Okay. Now we've got 3 numbers missing right here. So I like to look at those. So we know we need an 8. Well, it could be here, but it can't be here because of this. Oh, where'd my other 8 go? Boink. There we go. Got 2 8s here. So we know this can't be an 8 because of these 2, but this one could be an 8. So we've got our 1. Okay, and then we need a 2, which we have a 2 right here. So we could have a 2 here or here. And then we need a 3, which it can't be here. So we've got a 3 here or here. Okay, all right. Now we do have a 3 here and here. So we have a 3 in the left and a 3 in the right. So this is our 3. And that helps us with these two. Here's our 3 and here is our 2. Okay. All right. Now we do have a 2 here and a 2 here. I was just kind of looking at this. If a 2 comes up and a 2 comes across, then we only have 2 spots here for our 2. And then if we have a 2 come up, well, see, there's only 2 spots left here, which is going to be our 2 and our 6. Right? 2 and a 6. Okay, we have our 2 marked there. Now we do have a 2 across the top, and we have a 2 in the left. Okay, so we have 2 spots for our 2 has to be here, but also we got these 2 marked as well. Okay, all right. We have some 4s here. We got a 4 across the top, 4 through the middle, 4 on the left side. So we have 2 of these marked for some 4s. Okay, I'm just kind of looking for pairs is what I'm kind of looking for here. We've got 3 numbers missing in this particular row. We've got our 8. So we've got a 1, a 2. We need a 3. Can we get any help here, here, or here? No, no help on the 3s. And then we need a 9. I'm not seeing any helps on the 9s either. Okay. Scratching my head, literally. Alright, we do have a 9 across the bottom row. We have a 9 down the right column, so we have only 2 spots in this cube to be 9. Stretch my fingers here and mark that 9. Got our 4 marked. Let's see what else we have. Okay, kind of an odd one. We've got a 3 here, a 3 here, and a 3 here. So 3 has to be in one of these 2 for this column. So I'm just going to mark that to kind of help me out a little bit. I've got a 1, I've got a 2. Now 4 is kind of interesting here. No 4 here. And if we look up here in this top cube, no 4 here. So really one of these 2 are going to be our 4. Do we have any help over here? We certainly do. We have a 4 in the right column and across the bottom, so we have the same strategy here with these 2 4s with these 2 4s. Okay, all right. Okay, so we've got our 4 marked. What other? We've got a 1, we've got a 2, we've got our 3, we've got our 4. Now we need a 5. Okay, let's see here. We cannot have a 5 here in this one. Boom, 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 boom. Could these be a 5? They could, but they could not actually. Oh, no, what am I missing here? I saw something and I lost it. I saw this 9 here. I got a 9 that comes across, a 9 that comes across, and a 9 that comes down. So one of these 2 has to be my 9. That's what I saw, but I thought I saw something else. What did I see? I don't recall. I have to come back to that one. What was the other? Oh, 5s. 5s are going to be a little bit tricky in this game. We just have 2 5s. Here's a 5 and here's a 5. And they don't really help each other out very much. Coming up this way, there's not a lot of help. So let's look at what else we have. Okay, so we need a 6, right? Well, here we can't have a 6 in the top, can't have a 6 in the bottom. So this is one of our spots, okay, and we can't have a 6 here in the middle. So this one could be a 6 though. Okay, then we need a 7, and we've got our 7. And we need an 8, and we've got our 8, and then we need a 9. Okay, so we have to have a 5 somewhere. 4s and 8s. Okay, so we do have our 1, we have our 2, we have one of our 3s, can't be across the bottom. These could be 3s as well, 4s, 5s aren't very helpful. We have a 6 across the bottom. Okay, so we could be a 6 here or a 6 here. We'll get that marked. Okay, 7, 8, 9. All right, okay. Let's see what else we've got. Let's see if we have any other eliminations that can help us out here. We've got 4 out here. Well, let's go with 1s here. Let's look at our 1s. I've got our 1 identified here in these top 2, and we've got a 1 and a 1. Okay, in this cube here we have a 1 that comes across and a 1 that comes up. So 1 can be in 3 spots. Okay, 1 comes across, 1 comes down, 1 comes up. So we've got our 1 identified there, and we've got these ones. Okay, so our 1s are done except for in this cube because we have 3 spots. That's okay. So 2, 2, 2. All right, and we've got our 2 high, we've got our 2 split, we've got our 2 down here, our 2 down here. And if 2 comes down and 2 comes up, we still have 3 choices here for our 2. So we don't have that marked out just yet. So we've got our 1 and our 2. We still got that little bit of symmetry going on, which I enjoy. Okay, so let's look at our 3s. We have our 3, we have our 3, we have a 3. We have a 3 here. 3 comes across, 3 comes down. Still have 3 choices here. We still have 3 choices here. Okay, 3 comes across. We still have 4 choices here. 3 comes across, 3 comes down. So we still have 3 choices here. So 3s aren't going to be very helpful for us. All right. We've got a 4, we've got a 4, we've got our 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay, here we go. We've got a 4 in the center column, and we have a 4 in the top row. So there we go. That helps us a little bit. One of these two is our 4. We've got a 4 across the top. We have a 4 down the left column. So we still have 3 choices for our 4 here. Okay, that's all right. Now we already decided that 5 is not going to be very nice for us. But I do notice this one right here doesn't have any numbers on it just yet. And I'm noticing that we have some high numbers and some low numbers. So I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4. Could be a 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. So that actually means this spot is the only one left for a 5. Okay. All right. So we have a 5 across the bottom, and a 5 across the middle. So we're going to have a 5 up here somewhere. Okay. Not sure which one just yet, so we won't mark that, but that is okay. So we have a 2, 4, and a 6 right here for that row. That's completely marked. That is good. And we have a 2, 3, and an 8 that's completely marked here. 3s and 6s, because we've got a 3 and a 6 there. So it's just this top row. We're missing, what are we missing here? We've got our 1, we've got our 2, we've got our 3, we've got a 4 here or here. Can't be here. Then we need a 5. Well, a 5 can't be here, so it's one of these. 6, 7, and then we need an 8. Okay, now I think our 8s could be in a couple different spots, so I didn't have those all the way marked. Because we have 1 8 here, because one of these two have to be 8. I think 8 was this way, and then 8 was this way. Because I think both of these can still be 8 as well. And then we have our 9 marked. Okay. Alright, okay. I got to be careful so that I don't overmark or undermark and forget my markings. Because markings are very important, especially the harder the games you get. But if you mess your markings up, that can totally mess you up in your game. So you got to find a balance in there for you. You know, you find out how if you need more marks or less marks, um, you find your own balance there, if you will. All right, so we are missing a 7, 8, and a 9, and a 1 in this column right here. So we do have our 1, we have our 7, 8, and 9. Can't have an 8 here, can't have an 8 here, but we could have an 8 here. This is where those, both of those there could be 8. But it can't be a 9. And that can't be a 9, but one of these two could be our 9. Okay. Alright. Okay, so I was looking, what number did we get up to? I forgot already. We were doing systematic numbers. I think we got to 2. 4s, 3s, 4s, 3s. We got the 4s. Yeah, and then 5s were being just a pain, but I think we found a number. The 6s. I'm not sure. We got a 6. We've got our 6 marked here. We got a 6. We got a 6. We got our 6 marked here. We got our 6 marked here. 6 across the top. Chink. 6 down the. There we go. We do have a 6 down the left, 6 down the center. So one of these two has to be our 6. And then 6 can be any of these bottom 4, so we can't mark that one just yet. So that's okay. So let's look at our 7s here. We've got a 7 in the left, 7 in the right. These top two is our 7. We have a 7 down the center. We have a 7 through the left. Okay, and a 7 through the bottom. There we go. So that gives us a 7. So now we had one of these two as our 7. Well, there it is. And this again, I need to clean up my pencil mark, or I'm going to confuse myself later on in the game. All right. And now we have 2 7s right here. Oh, we got our third 7. I was going to give a second 7 in that cube. That won't work, folks. So I think we've got all of our 7s marked. That is good. We like that when a number gets completed. All right, so let's look at our 8s, shall we? We've got an 8 through the center here, 8 down the right, 8 down the left. So we do have our 8 marked. We have our 8 marked here. We have our 8 marked here. Now we have 3 choices for our 8s, which we don't have marked just yet. Okay, so in this column now that we only have 3 numbers, we have a 1 that could be here, and the other one is here. Could be a 1, but not this one. We have these 2 that could be a 9, but not this one because we have a 9 there. And then we need an 8. So I'm going to mark that now because this one can't be an 8. So these 3 are now locked. Okay, those are locked. That's good. So with this 1 coming across, 1 could be here or 1 could be here. Top and a bottom, just like this top and a bottom here. So those would help each other out too. And then the right and the left here would help each other out. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking at 8s. I'm looking at 8s. So we've got our 8s. Now this one here, I'm going to mark it because this one could still be an 8. I don't want to confuse myself by not marking it. We've got our 8, 8, 8. Okay, so we've got all of our 8s marked. Let's look at our 9s, shall we? So we know we've got a 9 here. One of these two is our 9, a 9 here. We've got a 9 here in the middle. We've got these two as our 9. 9 across the top. 9 down the right side. So we have 3 here for our 9. 9 down the right side. 9 across the bottom. We know these two are going to be our 9. And then we have a 9 across the bottom, so we actually have 4 choices here for our 9. Not being very helpful for the 9s. Okay. All right. Let's see what we've got here. In this particular column, we are missing 3 numbers. We're missing a 4, a 6, and what is the other one? A 5? A 5. Leave it to the 5s to be our stinker. Okay. Now I do notice something here in this particular row right here. This 2 and 6 is, maybe, no, maybe, maybe not. Okay, these 2 are locked, but these 2 are not because this cube can have some other numbers. I just don't have them identified yet. So we have to be careful not to over-identify or under-identify and assume certain numbers. All right, let's look in this particular column here because I see a 9. So in this center column we need a 9. Well, we can't have one in the bottom can't have 1 in the top, so it's one of these two is our 9. So let me mark that for this column here. So we've got our 1, we've got our 2. Now we need a 3. Well, we can... 3 could be not here because we've got a 3 here, but 3 could be here, here, or here. Now we need a 4. Now 4 can't be here, and 4 can't be here. So 4 can either be here or here. So we need to mark that. So we've got our 4, we've got our 5, we've got our 6, we've got our 7, and then we've got our 8. Okay, and then we've got our 9. So what is in this spot right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. So I'm using both the horizontal and the vertical numbers and even the blocking numbers. That this is the only spot that could be a 3 because we've got a 1, a 2, there's our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Very good. So that 3 is going to be helpful. We now have a 3 across the top, a 3 across the bottom. So this one can be a 3 or this one can be a 3. Okay. So now we've got our 3 marked. We've got 2 over here. We've got 2 here. Alright, okay, so now we have our 4, 8, and our 9. So does that help us? Do we have a 3, 8, and a 7? 3, 8, and a 7. Sometimes this pattern like this helps when you have a number that comes down the row, 4, 6, 8, and 7. So like this 4, see we already had this 4 identified because that 4 was already helping. Okay, so we did put this 3 in. Does this 3 help us down? It does. So this 3, and we've got a 3 to the right already, and a 3 down the middle. So this is our only spot left for our 3 in this cube. Now we do have a 3 across the bottom, a 3 across the middle. We now have 2 spots for our 3 here. So in this particular row that we're working on here, we need a 3, 8, and 9 are the numbers that are missing. So one of these 2 is our 3. We do have an 8 here, so one of these 2 is our 8. And then we need a 9. So this could be a 9. Could this be a 9? Yes. Could this be a 9? Yes. So let's mark those. Usually I don't, but I'm going to. Just so I remember that that's been marked. Let's see here. I'm going to look at this bottom row here. We've got a 1, we've got a 2, we've got a 3. We've got some 4s. Now this could be a 4, this could be a 4. Now this one, see, I don't have this marked. But either one of these could be a 4 as well. So I got to be careful not to over-guess my marks. Let's see here. 5s. I don't have no 5 here, of course, because of this 5. And then I need a 6. Which could be any one of these 4, 6, 7. Do we have help on the 8? Just the 8s that are already marked. 9. Okay. I don't know why. I was just kind of having a thought there that we might have an extra number that could help us out. But I was wrong. Okay. That's all right. So we're missing a 4, a 5, and a 6. I think are the 3 numbers we're missing out here. 4, 5, and a 6. Okay, but we can't have a 6 up here because of this 6. Can't have a 5 here, but 5 could be everywhere else. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's start back with 1s again. I put a couple numbers in there. Let me double check my pencil marks. And let's see if we've solved anything that I just might have missed. So here's our 1. There's a 1. There's a 1. Okay, our 1 is top and bottom because we have a 1 in the middle. Here's our 1 top and bottom because we have a 1 in the left and the right. We have our 1, and we have our 1, we have our 1. Okay, so our 1s look good. Our ones look good. So let's look at our twos. So I see a 2 here. 2 comes across. I have a 2 that comes up, so here's our 2. Okay, that's good. This is our 2. Alright, we have a 2 high and low. Typically, if you have a high and a low and then the 2 on the high, then the 2 is going to be down here in the bottom 2. That's just naturally how they spread. Okay, so we have our 2 identified here in the left column here. 2 in the center column. And then 2, 2. So all of our 2's are marked. I want to look at this block here again. I know we're missing a 5, but ooh, hey, look at that. The 5 has to be here. Ooh, hey. Ooh, let's mark that. Let's mark that. Cool. Because this is okay, so we've got our 1, we've got our 2, 3, 4, 5. I like that. And then our 6 has to be here in the middle, 7, and then there's our 8, and then there's our 9. Okay, cool. I don't know why I got excited about that, but I got excited about that. Those 5s are being cantankerous, so to find a 5, I'm excited. Okay. Okay, so we were looking at all of our 2's. Our 2's are good. So we have a 3, and one of these 2 is our 3. We have a split 3 here. We have a split two 3's here to the right. We've got our 3, we've got our 3, got our 3, 3, 3. So 3's are almost all the way done. Let's look at our 4's here. Okay. We've got a 4. We've got these 2 as a 4 and a 4. Top 2 is a 4, top 2 is a 4. We have a 4 that comes down and a 4 that comes across, so these 2 are our 4. We have a 4 that comes across, we have a 4 that comes down. So we still have 3 choices for our 4's. Okay, and then the 5's are being stinker nuggets, but we did identify them over here, so I'm going to just leave it at that. Because I don't want to fight with the 5's anymore. 6's here, we've got a 6. One of these 2 is a 6. One of these 2 is a 6. Top and bottom, middle, 6, 6. And then we've got left and center, so we've got the 2 on the right. Got the 2 to the left, somewhere 2, so one of these 4 is going to be our 6. But not sure which one just yet. Alright, 7's, I think all of our 7's are marked. They are. Okay, so 8's, we have an 8, 8, 8. 8 comes across, 8 comes up. That's one of our 8's, that's one of our 8's. There's an 8 there. 8 on left and right, 8 left and right. 9's, we've got a 9 up here. Got a 9 up here. 9 down the right side, 9 down the top. So really we have 3 choices for our 9 over here. Alright, okay, so now I have to be careful with my markings so I don't overmark, but I need to go and I need to mark out what everything could be. I would love to get some more crisscross numbers if they would give themselves up. Stretching my brain here for a second. Okay. Alright. So this spot here could be a 1, not a 2, not a 3, could be a 4, not a 5, not a 6, not a 7, could be an 8, but not a 9. So that spot is good. Alright, so this one could be a 1, not a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, could be an 8, but not a 9. So those two are fully qualified. So I think we're going to have the same thing here. We got a 1, could be a 2, 3, 4, could be a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's good. 2 and 8. Okay, and so this row here is just missing a 2, 3, and an 8, but it can't be a 3, so 2 and 8 is it. So this cube is good. That's all checked out. And I think I did the same thing here for this cube here. Because we know that it has to be a 5. But let's see here. So it could be a 1. Could it be a 2? Nope, because I have a ghost row of 2's right here, and we have a 2 and a 6 that are locked. I have to remember these 2 and a 6's are locked. So it could be a 1, not a 2, 3, 4, could be a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a 1 and 5 are the only ones that could be. So here we have a 1, we have a 2, 3, 4, could be a 5, 6, 7, could be an 8, 9. So that one is good. We know these two are 2 and a 6 because of the column. Those are locked. Not a 1, not a 2, 3, 4, not a 5 because that's over here or there. 6, 7, but it could be an 8, could be a 9. So that one is good to go. Alright, this one could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, could not be a 5, 6, 7, can't be an 8, but it could be a 9. That one's good. So this cube is all marked up. Okay, so this one I know I'm missing some numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and put in all the numbers even though there might be 3. So I've got a 1. Now to get a 2, we've got our 2 right here because we have a 2 and a 2. To get our 3, we have a 3 across the top and the bottom, so we have our 3. To get a 4, we have a 4 in the middle, 4 in the right, 4 in the bottom, so there's our 4. Now to get a 5, we have a 5 in the middle, 5 on the bottom, so 5 could be anywhere across the top. 5, 5, 5. Now we have a 6 across the top, 6 across the bottom, so there's our 6. And then we have a 7, and then we need an 8. Now we have an 8 that comes across the middle. We have an 8 that comes across the right, and an 8 that comes up the middle. Okay, because that's our ghost row there on the 8s. So there we have it, folks. This cube is done. Now, if these two are locked as a 5 and an 8, that means there can't be another 5 and an 8. 5 and a 9. There can't be any other 5 or 9s in this row. So I can actually take this 5 out. Okay, because it can't be there. If these two are the only two, if this is a 5, this is a 9. If this is a 5, this is a 9. Either way, there's no other 5 or 9s in this particular cube. Now, the other thing that that does for us is it tells us that one of these two has to be a 5. If I can't have a 5 in any 3 of these, I can't here, and I can't here, and I can't, because these two are 5s. That means one of these two here has to be a 5. Okay, so let's mark those as a 5. And in fact, so let's look at this cube here. We've got our 1. We have a 2 that comes up, so one of these two is our 2. We have a 3 across and a 3 across, so one of these two is our 3. We have our 4. Now we just identified our 5. Now we have a 6 that comes across, so there's our 6, 7, 8, 9. So this cube is completely marked out as well. Alright, so let's move over here to this cube. So we need our 1, which we've got because we have a 1 and a 1 and a 1. We need a 2. Now we have a 2 in the middle and a 2 in the right. So 2 can be any one of these 3 because we have the top 2 and we have the split 2. So let's mark all 3 of these. I don't like to do that, but I need to. 3. And then this 4 comes across, and one of these 2 is our 4. Now our 5 is going to come down through the middle. And 5 is going to give us lots of choices. We're going to have 4 choices, so I need to make sure to mark those. Okay. Now I'm seeing something here. See, this is a 2 and a 6, and I know this has to be a 2 and a 6, which tells me that there cannot be any other 2s or 6s in this row, so I can actually take this 2 out. So see, we got a 1 and a 5 and a 1 and a 5 that's locked. We have our 6, we have our 7, we have our 8. and then we need a 9. So 9 comes down and 9 comes across. So we still have 3 choices for our 9. So let's make sure to put those in so we don't limit her. This spot here has lots of choices. Okay, but this cube now is fully marked out. Alright, so let's look at this cube here. We've got our 1, we've got our 2, we've got our 3. Now our 4, we have a 4 that comes down the left, we have a 4 across the top, so we have 3 spots that could be a 4. So we want to mark those. Now we have a 5 down the middle and a 5 across the top. So we have 3 spots that could be a 5. So let's mark those. 5, 5, 5. Okay, and then we have a 6 down the left and a 6 down the right. So we know our 6 is over here. We have our 7 marked. We have an 8 down the right and an 8 down the left. So we know our 8 is here in the middle. And then we need a 9. So we have a 9 down the right, we have a 9 down the bottom, we know we have our 9 marked out. Okay, so this cube is completely marked out. Just kind of looking for any patterns that might grab my eyeballs here. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. We've got our 1, we've got our 2. Okay, one of these 2 is our 3. We need a 4, which we have a 4 and a 4, so there's our 4. Now we're going to need a 5. So we know that our 5 is across the top, can't be a 5, so these 4, any one of those could be a 5. So let's mark those appropriately so we don't get them confused. Then we need a 6. Okay, so I do have a 6 across the top. And that's my only 6 to help out, isn't it? So all the same ones that could be a 5 could be a 6 as well. We've got our 7 already marked. We have an 8 down the right side and an 8 through the center, so we know our 8 is one of these 2. We have a 9 that comes across the bottom. So it looks like our 9 could be any of these top 4, because I don't have these are. So I've got these 2 already marked as a 9. But I need to mark these 2 as a 9. Okay. So I think I have every cube, every box now marked correctly for every possibility that they could be. So now what I need to do is I need to find the pattern that I have been scratching my head for. I've been trying to bide time as I've been putting numbers in, because I was trying to find what I'm that one number. A lot of these they crisscross with each other. So once I find one number, that will let it go. So this 5 and this 9. I don't know why my mind is being drawn to that one so much. I like the idea. Let's see here. Okay, I've got this 2 and 6, 2 and 6. Sometimes there's this this like a rectangle pattern. See this 2 and 6 and this 2 and 6 and maybe this 5 and 6 maybe? Because if this is a 6, then this is a 2, and then this is a 6. But if this is a 6, that makes this a 5, makes this a 3, makes this a 2. And then if we reverse that, I think will that work as well? If this is a 6, then this would be a 2, this would be a 3, this would be a 5, this would be a 6, this would be a 2. Did I just say that right? This is where I have to kind of use a pencil, because I can't think in my brain about, I can do about 2 or 3 steps, but the 4th step I totally get lost. Totally get lost. So okay, let's I'm going to put my cursor here where my 2 is going to be. If I put this as a 2, this is going to be a 6. Now if this is a 6, this is a 5, and this is a 6. So if this is a, that's a 2, that's a 6, that's a 5, 3, 2. Okay, 2, and this is a 6. That's okay, that'll work. Now if this is a 2, and this is a 6, then this is a 2, this is a 3, this is a 5, and this is a 6. Okay, and that works out okay too. I'm trying to see if the twos also affect over here, because there's only 2 spots for a 2. So if this one is a 2, then this one has to be a 2. That's maybe that right there is the catchers on the 2s. Like I said, my brain can't think out that far, so I'm gonna have to grab myself a little piece of pencil here and just kind of jot down a test here to see if my brain. So if I do, I'm gonna try it with this as a 2 up here. So if I do a 2 there, then the bottom middle one here, this one's gonna be a 6. Okay, now if that's a 6, then this one will be a 5. That one will be a 3. That one will be a 2. That one will be a 6. Okay, and that's fine. Now if those are 2s, then this bottom one here is going to be a 2. And then there's a 5 and a 6 already in there, so that makes that a 4. And if that's a 4, then that's a 9. And if that's a 9, that's a 1. Okay, and if that's a 1, that's a 5. And that's a 9, and that's an 8. Everything still looking okay? And if that's a 2 and a 9, then that is a 5, and that is a 1. Okay, so if I do what I just said there, all the numbers tend to work out. So if I did this number here as a 2, this center cube sorts itself out just fine. Just fine. Does okay. So what if I do that in the opposite direction? What if I do this top number as a 6 and the bottom number is a 2? Okay, so if that's a 6, then that one would be a 2, and then that one would be a 3, and then that one would be a 5, and then that one would be a 6. Okay, and then there's the 2 and the 2, which this one would then have to be a 2. Okay. All right, and then that's a 5 there, so that one would have to be an 8, which that one would have to be a 9. And if that is a 9, that's a 1, that's a 5. Okay, and if that's a 1, then that's a 1, and a 1, and a 2, okay. Okay, so this one is really weird, because normally with Sudoku games, you can only have one solution. But the weird thing about this is no matter how I do this, this number always ends up as a 8. This one always ends up as a 9, this one always ends up as a 1, and this one always ends up as a 5. Always. No matter which way I do this, if I do this as a 6 or a 2, when I resolve it through this cubings, I'm trying to see how my brain, if this is a 5 or a 6, somehow this always ends up as a 1. How? I don't know. Stretching my brain here. case I marked it wrong, that's also another. Okay. Okay. All right. So what I'm seeing here is this middle right here is always going to be a 2, 3, and a 5. All right. I'm not sure how this is working, but it has worked. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the ones that I tested. No matter which way I do this, these two numbers, I'm going to leave the ones that swap. Okay, so if the 6 and the 2 swap, they change. This one is always a 9. This one is always a 1. Okay, and this one, because that's a 5, is always a 1. Okay, so now I can take the 1 out of here. I'm going to update my pencil mark because we've already got a 1 there. I don't know. It's kind of odd. I've not seen that ever happen before. No matter which way we go, that set of numbers. Okay, and then I can take this 9 out of here. Okay. Okay, and so we've got our 8 here. So now we can take care of these ones up here. We can get our 8 out of here, which only leaves me now a 2. This one only leaves me a 4. And the only number left here is a 1. And now we need our 8. We had 2 spots for our 8. Now that we have this 8 here, that's going to resolve. We have our 2 here. That's going to be a 3. We had 2 numbers here to be our 3. Well, that one has to be it just because we put the 3 there. Now I can get rid of the 3. Okay, so here we don't have a 4 anymore, so this one has to be our 6. This one has to be our 2. Now this one here was a 5 or a 6, but now that we have the 6 there, that is now a 5. Okay, now this one now has to be our 4. And this one has to be our 5. And this one has to be our 9. And this one has to be our 2. This one has to be our 6. This one has to be our 2. This one has to be our 6. Alright, we've already got our 5, so there's our 3, there's our 2. Okay, so we have a 4 and an 8, but we've already got our 8 there, so there's our 4. Now these two are 5s and 9s. And we actually don't even have any help yet for those 5s or 9s. But we did get this 9 here, so we know this is an 8. We know this one is our 9. And now we can clean up our pencil work here. So this one was a 5 or a 9. So we now know that that is a 5. And this was a 4 or an 8, but we've got our 8, so we know that's a 4. And now we can get rid of the 4s here. I'm just cleaning up my pencil marks, a 5 or a 6. Let's see what else we can clean up. Some pencil marks over here. We can get rid of these 9s because there are no more 9s here. We've already got the 9. So we've got a 5 and a 6. We've got a 5 and a 6. This is the only one left that can be our 4. And then, because we've got a 4 here, so we'll clean that 4 up. So it looks like this is the only one left that can be our 8 because we have an 8 here and an 8 here. Okay, so now that we have a 9, we now know this one has to be our 5. That one has to be our 9. We now know this one has to be our 6. This one has to be our 5. That one has to be our 5. That one has to be our 6. So there it is, folks. A very hard one. I wish my brain could catch that, but I just keep a little scrap piece of paper and I jot down some possibilities if I get stuck and I can't find it. And I watch more games. I watch other folks play these very hard games and watch their strategies. Kind of lucky. You haven't run into this particular scenario where if I tried it, the numbers either work or don't work. I've never ran into it before where I get the same numbers in the exact same position, whether I try it either way. For not all of them, but just for a couple key ones, and that's what fell it all apart. So that was kind of fun, kind of interesting, a very hard puzzle. Hope you guys had some fun. Feel free to print these off before we get started and try to solve it yourself. Pause the game, see what you catch, and maybe you'll find those other solutions that I'm having trouble with. Always welcome your comments, suggestions, or challenges. And thanks for watching, folks. And we'll catch you on the next game. Thanks. Bye.